Welcome everyone to today's live stream, episode 1 of our Baldur's Gate 3 unknown character gameplay series. I'm Commander Jorval and I want to thank you for coming along on our journey today. So today we are starting a brand new character playthrough live stream series. And at the end of our last episode, hey Reinmar, thanks for joining. I certainly appreciate it. At the end of our last playthrough, I opened it up to everybody, just like I did at the end of the Ranger gameplay series, and asked what everyone's opinions were concerning the character selection for, hey Assassin, nice to see you again. Thanks for joining in, I appreciate it. Wanted to get people's opinions on what we should play and checked my email and my messages this week as well as what we received at the end of last playthrough, and we have a tie for which character people want to see me play. So what we're going to do to resolve that is we are going to just roll some dice here. It was a great suggestion at the end of the last live stream that we just roll some dice to figure out which character we want to play, and that makes a whole lot of sense. So I think that's what we're going to do here. To start it off, we have a dice roll. I'm going to try and pop this up here. So you should see a screen on your window here, and we've got some D&D dice down here at the bottom. Now this is brought to you through a website called dddice.com. It's a free website. They don't put any restrictions on using footage of these dice rolls in live streams. They don't even require anybody to give them credit for it, but for a website that has put hard work in, I'm going to give them credit for providing this dice roll here. So what we've got is we've got our standard D&D dice down here at the bottom. We've got a D20 that we are going to roll over here. And what do you think? Should we do best of 5 or best of 7? What are your opinions? And Reinmar, I'm on AMD. Nothing against Intel. I just went with an AMD PC. It's custom built 3080 Ti 5900X. So I think what we're going to do here, and I'm kind of paying attention on something else. Yes. So best of 5. Sorry for clearing my throat. I apologize. So I'll try and remember to mute my mic when I do that in the future. So let's go ahead and roll 5d20s. So from 1 to 10, we will be playing a Druid. From 11 to 20, we will be playing a Paladin. And the best of 5 wins here. So let's go ahead and roll a d20 and see what we come up with on our first roll. A 9. Looks like 1 for the Druid. I know you guys are both excited about that roll. So we'll roll another one here and see where we go. 11. 1 for the Paladin. Tied up 1-1. Roll number 3. A 6. 1 more for the Druid. The Druid's up 2-1 here. 4th roll incoming. The Druid can take it right here. It's rigged for sure. Here we go. 1 more roll. Roll number 4. An 8. There you go. We are playing a Druid today for this next live stream. All right. It wasn't rigged. You guys got your wish, so there you go. So, whoops, sorry, I got rid of the wrong one there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get the live stream started. So you will have to give me just a second here while Steam loads this up. Steam took 45 minutes patching this game, so I apologize. But we'll get it started up here, and we will jump in to patch 9. We did update to patch 9. So our Druid will be able to take advantage of level 5 here on our playthroughs, which is much appreciated and much looking forward to. So as soon as the game boots up here in the background, we should be able to get things started. So yeah, what do you think? You excited for the Druid gameplay here? All right, here we go. Okay, so can you guys hear everything okay? Does everything look okay on the stream? Let me know if it's not. All right, good deal. So we're going to start a new game here, and we're going to jump right into character creation. Hey, Anton, welcome to the stream. Alright, I always like to let you guys watch the cutscenes. For anybody who hasn't watched it before, the cutscenes in the game are simply amazing. I've said it before, and you know, I'll continue to say it. Larian has done an amazing job putting together the cutscenes. You can see it in the trailers that they've released as well, so really, really well done. So, okay, so here we are at the character creation screen. And we are going to just start here with a new name. And as far as our background goes, with playing a druid, we're going to be focused on obviously wisdom as our main stat, but then we also want to focus on constitution and dexterity as well. Constitution, a lot of the druid spells are concentration based, so constitution is going to help us to survive those concentration checks better. And dexterity, it helps in a lot of ways, but besides just the plain initiative rolls, with a druid, we're not going to be playing with a lot of heavy armors and that sort of stuff. So having dexterity to utilize with the existing armors in the game is going to help us, if we can get it at least to a 14, to get a +2 out of it. So as far as our background goes, we want to try and focus on skills that are going to be wisdom based and things like that. So that's animal handling, insight, medicine, perception, and survival. Plus as a druid, for some role play purposes, having something like animal handling and that sort of stuff is, great from a role playing perspective. But this gets us 2 proficiencies that go very well with our wisdom based stat here. So, and did the screen flicker there? No, it doesn't look like it did. Okay. The game's not playing in windowed mode this time. So as I switch back and forth, the sound may cut out quickly. Didn't have time to set up the windowed mode on the video, and I'm not going to go change the video options now. We'll kind of maybe do that before we start, but for now I'm going to leave it how it is as we go through character creation. So, but this gives us 2 proficiencies that go very well with our wisdom main stat that we're going to have. So for our race, there are really, in my opinion, 2 races that fit a druid class very well, and it really depends on which of the second stats you want to focus on. Unfortunately, there is no race that gets +2 in wisdom off the bat. All the races have a +2 into various different things, except for human, which allows you to get pluses in multiple things. But unfortunately, none of them have a +2 to wisdom as a base racial stat. So we're going to be picking races that give us at least a +1 wisdom. And then our 2 other stats of constitution and dexterity are going to kind of determine where else you want to focus. Okay, so a wood elf gets you a wisdom +1 stat, as well as +2 in dexterity. You also get some bow proficiencies and some sword proficiencies. Dark vision also comes along with that. The base racial speed for elves is 10.5 meters per turn, which is great. And then Mask of the Wild basically is you just gain proficiency in stealth checks. So Wood Elf is going to get us a +1 in wisdom that we want, but it's also going to get us a +2 in dexterity. The other one that goes well with that is the Gold Dwarf. You get +1 in wisdom. You also get +2 in constitution, which is going to help you on those concentration checks that you have to make as you get attacked to make sure that your spells, if you have any up, make sure that they don't go down. You get certain other weapon proficiencies here along with it, and you get dark vision. Your base racial speed is much lower. It's 7.5 meters, as opposed to with the Wood Elf, it's 10.5. So you lose quite a bit of movement, but you do also get Dwarven Resilience. And you have resistance to poison damage, and you have advantage on any poison saving throws to go along with it. Both of them do get dark vision, which is always a benefit. So I was thinking about this quite a bit. I'm gonna go with the wood elf. I rely so much on my movement speed, and also having proficiencies in long bows and short bows helps to start off with, because otherwise you don't have a ranged backup attack that you're proficient with, and you'll see why as we go through that. But your druid class is fairly limited on what weapons it's able to have proficiency in. So I'm going to stick with the wood elf. And go this way. Yeah, they actually do, Reinmar. They look, the skin tone changes for the various sub-races of elves. So historically, you know, the look and the attributes of them are pretty impressive. And you can get much farther into it with all of the abilities to change appearances here. In live streams, I don't normally spend my time going through and making any changes in here. But as you can see, there's a lot of changes here that you can make for your character. But we're going to skip right into class here, and obviously we're going to pick Druid. Now, looking down here, you see what we have as far as proficiencies go. So we have club and shield, we have dagger, javelin, mace, quarterstaff, scimitar, sickle, and spear. Other than the thrown items in here, javelin and spears, there is no ranged proficiency on a druid. So if you want to have proficiency in a backup ranged attack, then you need to have a race that gives you a proficiency with a ranged weapon. And that's one of the other benefits that I think in selecting a wood elf gives me. I'm not saying that I'm going to be relying on that ranged attack with the build that I'm going to be putting together here, but having it is certainly beneficial. So you see, we also get light armor and medium armor. We're gonna, actually, I'll talk about that right now to start with. In tabletop, druids despise wearing any type of metal armor or using metal weapons. They have an aversion to metal of all types. In Baldur's Gate 3, at least in early access, that does not seem to be the case. So we can wear all of the light and medium armors in the game, including the Scale Mail +1 or the Githyanki Halfplate, even though those are in tabletop anathema to a druid. But the game employs them, and there is a distinct lack of other types of non-metal armors in the game. So having them offers you, some more playthrough options, even though it's not strictly canon, so to speak. We're going to come back to this area here, and we're going to look at our skills first. So you can see the inherited skills that we have. We were given survival and animal handling by the folk hero background that we chose. Perception and stealth are granted by the elf. So the perception, animal handling, and survival are all based upon wisdom. So now insight and medicine, being the other ones, now I have all 5 of the wisdom-based proficiency skills here, which is nice. And that's another thing that you have the benefit of having the elf race giving you perception as a wisdom skill. So the others are intelligence based, but this really allows us to focus on our wisdom and pumping those skill checks up as high as we can possibly get them. So skills without proficiency are all the charisma ones, dexterity ones, and like I say, the intelligence ones that we haven't picked up here. So looking at our ability scores, this is obviously where things get the most important. So strength for us is a dump stat. We don't need a high strength here with a druid because we are going to be using other things to offset that. We're going to be in wild shape quite a bit. We're going to be using spells, which are wisdom based, quite a bit. But there's also a cantrip that we can select called Shillelagh, which allows us to use our wisdom stat as the roll for to hit and damage with certain types of weapons. So strength is, like I say, going to become a dump stat for us, so it doesn't matter where we end up putting that. Intelligence and charisma are also our other dump stats. You definitely want to make sure that wisdom is at 16 at character creation. That's the highest that we can get it without having a +2 on any of our bonuses. And then we still have one ability point left. I've got my dexterity up to 14, which gives me a +2. That's the most modifier that you can get out of medium armors in the game, is a +2 modifier for dex. So there's no real reason for me to go over this number. So now I have a couple of choices here. Constitution right now is maxed out at 14. I can't put it up to 15 because that would require 2 points that I do not have. So I can approach this a couple of different ways here. I can either dump strength. If you dump it down to 8, it's still a -1, and that gives me 3 points. And now I'm able to up one of these into 15. I can also leave strength or charisma or intelligence or anything like that at 9. I can add constitution in and leave these two at odd numbers. And then if I want to keep my wisdom at +3, I can use the level 4 feat ability score increases to raise both of these to 16 and to 10. That would eliminate the strength penalty and also give me a +3 on constitution. But you are limiting yourself basically at that point. And you're missing out on the +4 modifier for wisdom, where you can put 2 points into a single skill and get you up to that point. So when I'm here, I have 1 point left over, and it doesn't really matter where it goes. I've got 3 skills that I can put that into. Or I can put it dexterity into 15. It's not going to change my modifier, though. So what you do with that last point doesn't really matter. What matters is that you have those 3 stats up, and at this point, I'm happy not taking any penalties to strength, intelligence, or charisma. So I think this is the set that I'm going to go with. So now, looking at our class, we can go through the cantrips and the prepared spells. Druids are like any of the wisdom-based spell-casting classes, in that all of your spells are known, you just have to prepare them. So let's look at cantrips first, and look at our options here. So guidance obviously very important. If you watch the last playthrough, you know how important guidance is when it comes to your skill checks and that sort of stuff throughout the game. Just incredibly important. However, we're going to have another option to get guidance, and that is a necklace that we all remember from the last playthrough. You certainly could choose it here, and it would be very helpful in the interim until you get that necklace. But for now, I'm not going to focus on guidance. It's once I get the rest of the cantrips available, I may choose guidance just to have a second source of guidance in the party, but for now I'm going to focus elsewhere. So poison spray is useful. I will say that, in that it does 1d12 damage, so it has a higher damage potential, but it is also just a 3-meter range, so I don't intend to have my druid get up close and personal all of the time when I'm not in wild shape. I might end up being up close and personal if I get hit while I'm in wild shape and it knocks me out of wild shape back into my regular form, but I'm going to tend not to focus on stuff like this as a cantrip when I'm at that range. I'm going to be looking to disengage or move out of the way or things like that instead. Produce Flame is very interesting. It basically is a small flame that sheds light in a 9-meter radius, and it deals 1d8 fire damage when thrown. It's similar to a fire cantrip like Firebolt or something like that. However, it costs you an action to throw it, and then it's basically just like your cantrip at that point. It comes back and it's available for you again. So it's interesting, but not something I think that I want to focus my spells on. Resistance is great, especially when you get into having tank characters in your party that are dealing with special attacks from enemies that either knock you prone or can lure you, such as the Siren Song and that sort of stuff. Resistance is great. There are just other ways to get resistance, and I'm not going to spend a cantrip slot on it. So now we come to the last two, Shillelagh and Thornrip. Shillelagh is one I'm definitely going to pick. You don't have to. What it does is, when you cast it, your staff or a club, so only those two weapons, become magical, and they deal 1d8 plus 3 bludgeoning damage. But more importantly, it uses your spell casting ability for the attack rolls. So for a club or a staff where I'm normally dealing with 1d4 damage, now I'm doubling that and adding on my wisdom modifier, which is where the +3 comes from, and I'm using my wisdom modifier +3 for the attack roll itself. Whereas with those two, I would be using strength for my rolls on those, and strength as a dump stat for a druid. So if I do get into a situation where I get knocked out of wild shape and there's somebody near me who is on low hit points, or I'm webbed, or I'm unable to move back out of the way, Shillelagh gives me an option to deal some melee damage, and quite a good amount of melee damage while I'm there. So I'm definitely going to use Shillelagh. The other one is Thornwhip. Now, Thornwhip is fun. That's just what it is. It's just fun. It's got a 9-meter range, and when you hit somebody with it, it pulls them 3 meters closer to you. Now, what's great about that is that if they're up on high ground, you can use it to pull them off of high ground. Or if you are on high ground, but higher than 3 meters, you can use it to pull them towards you. They go 3 meters up in the air, and then they fall right back down and take fall damage in doing it. You can also position yourself strategically to pull them across like lava openings that you would have to jump over and that sort of stuff. And then they may end up in the lava and end up taking some serious damage or even die because of it. Assassin, did they add new content to the campaign? Yeah, as you go through this, you're going to see there are specific things that were added in patch 9 due to paladin interactions and that sort of stuff. So there was additional interactions and that you can have with NPCs and ways that you can play encounters due to now having a paladin in your party. So there is new content. It was mainly focused, however, around the paladin class. But you will see a couple of things here and there as we go through, and I'll be sure to point them out as we go. So those are the 2 cantrips that I'm going to choose for now. And like I say, later on, I may pick up guidance when I get my 3rd cantrip as a choice. So for my prepared spells. So just like I said earlier with the wisdom-based spell classes, you know all of the spells, you just have to prepare which ones you want to use. So going through these, we're just going to really focus on some of the new ones. The ones that have been here previously, Animal Friendship, we know about. That's not going to be important for us. Normally, it's not going to be important. But we can use it to charm beasts and get them not to attack you. But in Wild Shape, I have Speak with Animals. So I'm able to speak with any animals and then letting my wisdom skills, help take over to pass skill checks and that sort of stuff to help hopefully avoid an attack. So it's not something I'm going to focus on. Charm Person is actually a really nice save. It would be nice if there wasn't an opportunity for them to become angry afterward, but Dungeon Masters love Charm Person, especially the aftermath of it. It doesn't have nearly the influence in early access as other things. Create or Destroy Water is a great spell. However, we're going to be coming up with a staff that does this for us, so I'm not going to focus on it. Am I going good or evil? That's a great question. For all of my life, ever since I was a kid playing 2nd edition, I've always played either neutral or good characters. I've never played an evil character. Now, those characters have ranged from lawful to chaotic. So I've played chaotic good characters before. I've played chaotic neutral characters before, but never anything evil. It's just not really my personality to pick an evil character. But if Paladin would have won, there is an option in the game for breaking your oath and becoming an Oathbreaker Paladin, which is very, very intriguing part of the game. So, Cure Wounds is a great touch-based healing spell to have. Not something that I'm going to focus on right now. For my healing, I am going to use Healing Word. It's great for at range, getting those downed characters back up and then maybe allowing them to move back and heal up in other ways. Entangle is one of your nature-based druid spells. You entangle a character, they have a strength save that they have to make, but otherwise they can't move. And attack rolls against it have advantage, and any attack rolls or dexterity saves that it makes against us have disadvantage. So it can be incredibly powerful as a single target immobilization thing, especially against low strength characters. Now it is concentration based, so I'd have to keep focusing on that to make sure that it stays active. Fairy Fire is just great. It does the same things from an importance perspective as Entangle does. And that means it gives you advantage on the attack rolls. However, instead of keeping the target from moving, it applies to multiple targets in a 6-meter radius, and then the targets cannot become invisible. So, especially in like the Yankee Patrol encounter, where they love to go invisible, as well as the Dwergar encounters, where some of them like to go invisible, this can be a game changer. Advantage helps more than anything else in the game. It does in tabletop, it does in early access. So Fairy Fire is definitely one that I'm going to be taking as we go through the playthrough. It is a concentration-based spell again, so we want to make sure that we're not, we're trying to get a good mix, but we're going to end up with more concentration spells than we are other things. So just keep that in mind when you're playing the Druid. So Fog Cloud isn't really that useful simply because characters just move out of it. But if you cast it on yourself, being able to move out of the Fog Cloud and then into the back, and then making a ranged attack and then moving back into the Fog Cloud can be a useful tactic to have. It's just not something that for me I'm going to use throughout the playthrough. Good Berries is great. It's basically a 1d4 healing potion that you can conjure it for yourself or for others. So basically more healing here. It is, like every other spell, takes an action to utilize. So, but it's not concentration based or anything like that. Jump, I'm not going to focus on, and Long Strider, I'm not going to focus on either, because in Wild Shape, I take on the movement speeds and characteristics of the animals that I'm imitating. So, not going to need Jump and Long Strider when I'm doing that. Same thing kind of with Speak with Animals. When I'm in Wild Shape, I have Speak with Animals, so I'm not going to need a spell to give me that. So I'm going to skip that. And then Thunder Wave is a very important spell for that time. Like I said when I was talking about Poison Spray, when you get in with Wild Shape and you get knocked out of Wild Shape and they're right next to you, Thunder Wave is going to help push away those characters that are near you to possibly allow you then to move out of the way without taking attacks of opportunity and that sort of stuff. So looking at the 4 that we have in here, we know that we're going to take Fairy Fire and we know that we're going to take Thunder Wave. I'm probably just going to take Entangle as well for now. But these can be changed around as we go. So, but that's kind of where I'm starting off. You're going to see that here in a second. How many animal forms can the Druid take? You're going to see that here in a little bit, Assassin, as we go through this. So you'll get a much more in-depth tutorial on that here in just a second. So we've gone through our abilities. Next thing is, who do you dream of? This is what happens in your dreams. It doesn't really matter what you pick here as you're going. So I'm going to go ahead and venture forth. Okay, and yes, Reinmar, it is a stunning intro to the game. So, are Githyanki a hero race of some kind, or just the only ones capable of taking on an alien spaceship? Good question. There's a lot of lore in the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Githyanki are a race that are not native to the material plane. They also have made a deal with Tiamat, which is the god of dragons, to be able to ride red dragons. That's why you saw them riding the dragons. They, like I say, made that deal with Tiamat to have that ability. So some of them, the dragon riders, have dragons that they're able to ride and use as mounts without being attacked by them. They can control them through their mental abilities, and that makes some of them incredibly powerful. But are they the only ones capable? Not necessarily. The reason that they were focused on there is because the Githyanki and the Mind Flayers are mortal enemies. The Gith were at one time slaves to the Mind Flayers race, and as part of that deal with Tiamat, that's what allowed them to rebel against their former slavers. So there is a racial hatred there between those two groups. So that's kind of what governs that, and why it started off that way in the intro. We are now in Avernus, otherwise known as the Hells, and that's why you saw the imps coming out and coming after the Nautiloid. And that's why you're also going to see some things coming up in the future as well that I won't spoil. So here we are at the beginning of the prologue. So the prologue here serves as a way for you to get used to the game. One thing that I've said in all my playthroughs, for everybody not familiar with the previous Baldur's Gate games, is there's an amazing amount of verticality in these games. So two things that you need to take advantage of right off the bat when you first step into this game and when you're playing throughout the game is to utilize your camera to move around and see what's around you. Your camera started out like this. If you didn't move your camera or you just moved it forward like this, you would miss the fact that behind you there's a ramp that leads up to an upper area up here. Your map is the second thing to utilize. Looking at your map shows you that there's another way to go around the backside here that might be able to get you into a different area that you might not know about. So utilizing your camera movement to move around and to turn your angle of view is very, very important in the game. And then utilizing your mini-map as well. So that is true. I didn't watch I didn't watch really any of Stranger Things, but yes, the what's it called? The Down Below or something like that. But yeah, same basic type of things. Dungeons and Dragons has been around for a lot of years, and Mind Flayers have been in the D&D universe for a very long time. So it's only natural that popular culture is going to take some hints from that stuff. So now that we know that there's a way behind us over here, we're going to move around this way. And this brings us to the first thing to always be aware of. Make sure you're aware of surfaces that are around you. Surfaces like fire obviously are going to do damage to you, so as you see it, make sure that you're avoiding it or taking steps to mitigate it. Other things like stepping in water while you have lightning charges is going to electrify you, but also electrify anyone else standing in the water. So surfaces can play a big deal in your playthrough. So make sure you're aware of them and you're following them. If you ever need to know if there's going to be any issues with it, you can hide, and as you pathfind, you can see the path turns red, letting you know that if you step into this area, you're going to take damage. You're going to take damage. So you can always go into hide and just check out those areas if you'd like. So looking around, you can see there are other various things throughout here, but we also have a chest, and we're going to walk up to the chest. Now, I've always suggested that you walk up close to the chest to begin with. Don't just click on it from way down here and move up and open it, because it might be trapped, and if you've clicked on it from down there, you might not have time to click somewhere else and make sure you don't open it, and then you would trigger the trap. So always walk up next to it, see if you get a perception check, and if you don't, then you know it's not trapped. We're going to open it up, and we're going to get an elixir of fire resistance and a potion of healing. Obviously, very beneficial for us to take. And we can continue on the high ground up here. And the other thing to be aware of in the game here is to hold the Alt button. Holding Alt lets you know if there are interactable items that are around you, or items that you can pick up. It doesn't work for every item, but it does work for consumables and usable items that the character may want, like potions and that sort of stuff. Like I say, it doesn't work for everything, but it does work for a lot of things. And when you do it, when you hold Alt, you can just click on the name plate that pops up, and you can, interact with it that way. So coming around this way, we have broken and empty Mind Flayer pod. And coming all the way down here to the end, walk up to the chest, and now we can open this one. Again, we have Alchemist Fire and a grease bottle. Now, grease is one of those things that I was talking about just a little bit ago. It creates a surface of grease, where everybody who walks through it, their movement speed is cut in half. And they have to make a dexterity saving throw, or else they fall prone. And if you fall prone, then you have to use half your movement speed to get back up from being prone. The other thing about grease, as it says in the first line there, is that it's a flammable surface. So once it's down, if a group of enemies fall down prone inside of it, you can then throw an alchemist fire or a fire arrow or a fire spell at it, and you're going to get a large explosion over that entire area. So again, illustrating how important surfaces are in the Baldur's Gate games, or Baldur's Gate 3 gameplay, and how to take advantage of them as you go through the playthrough. And you'll see more and more of that as we go. And you'll also see me taking small movements. I don't click way over there like that, because pathing in Baldur's Gate 3 is my one big complaint. You just never know, especially when you're not in hiding, when you click over here, where your character's going to go. Most of the time, they path to avoid damaging surfaces. Sometimes they just don't. Other times, they walk into areas that they can't get out of, or they walk into things that gets them in more danger than where they are. So you'll see me kind of tend to move, for the most part, in small spurts, as opposed to large ones. Now, we did get an autosave there, and there's a reason for that. And we're just going to move up here next to the nursery, and you can see that we can interact with it.
This is the pool that thing came from. The parasite now writhing behind your eye.
Okay, so we can either reach toward the pool, or we have an investigation here. It's intelligence, and I'm not going to have any bonuses. So it's a 10 DC. I've got a 20-sided die, so I've got exactly a 50-50 chance here. And we rolled a 19, so we rolled really well. I hope that's an indicator of what's going to happen today.
The casing is fragile. The slightest touch could cause it to crumble.
Okay, and you see that there's some text that they are that they obviously need to keep working on. This is early access, after all. So now you know that you can, if you reach toward the pool, it's probably going to break it, and it's probably going to cause a problem. And that is the case. If you reach toward the pool, it's going to break. It's going to cause a huge explosion. You're going to take explosion and fire damage from it. So you just leave. Don't interact with the nursery. You don't have any need to. There's nothing in it or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about it. So here we have a Mind Flayer pod. Okay, just letting you know that there are multiple people who have gotten out of this area. And then holding Alt, you can see that we have a Mind Flayer over here. So we're going to make our way over this way. And you see that there is a surface here of Mind Flayer blood. This surface doesn't cause any negative or positive effects. It's just there. But again, it's a surface. Okay, we have a Spike Bulb and a Void Bulb. The Spike Bulb just causes 1 damage when you throw it. That's all it does. The Void Bulb, however, is really cool. It's like a portable black hole. You throw it, and everything within 6 meters of where it lands has to make a dexterity save, or they get sucked into where it landed. So it's actually really impressive when you throw one of these, especially like if you throw it into the middle of a fire surface and somebody's standing out here. If they fail their save, it's going to pull them into the fire surface. Things like that. It's really, really quite an impressive little item that you get right in the prologue. Assassin asks, what are the companions, probably you mean, that I'm taking in this campaign? You're going to see that more as we go along, but just to kind of give you some hints, I am a healing-based spellcaster class that also has some good melee attacking abilities and crowd control abilities with my wild shape. So if I'm going to be handling some of those roles, I may be sacrificing some of the other characters you would normally bring along with you. Even though that might fulfill those roles better, I may want to sacrifice or leave them behind because I can fulfill some of those roles at least partially as well as they can, and I'm willing to take the hit because of it. But you will see as we flesh out our party here through the playthrough. So, and again, up here you can see, looking at the mini map, there's an area up here. So you can move up here, but there's nothing to get at here. If we come this way, we're going to see another portion of the Baldur's Gate 3 games. And that's secrets or hidden areas normally do not show up on the map. You can see that right now on the mini-map, there's nothing in front of me, supposedly on the mini-map, or I can't go that way. But that doesn't mean that you can't. It just means that you need to explore and see if you can reach different areas. So I'm going to move as close as I can to the fire without actually getting into it, which is right here. And then I'm going to jump across this. And over here we have a couple of things. We have the slave mind, and we have a dead thrall that has a scroll of mage armor and some gold. Okay, and then I'm going to move back. And again, I'm using hide to know where the boundary is between damaging and non-damaging. So I can move to here. I can then jump across that. And I can come out of hide. And now I can jump over to this side. Okay. Now, what did I just pick up? The slave mind. There are 3 of these named brains in a jar. In the prologue. Now, in the early access, there's nothing to do with them. They don't have a use in early access, but that does not mean that in the full version of the game that they won't have a use. Okay, so picking them up is always good form, so to speak. Anything that is named or is strange, probably something that you want to pick up, and then you can send it right to your camp. Now, I can't send it to camp during the prologue. Okay, so I'm going to have to carry it, and it weighs 10 pounds. So it weighs a lot. So keep that in mind as you're trying to pick these things up. We also picked up a scroll of mage armor. You can see that we're wearing Druid leather armor, which is light armor. So we're not going to be able to use the scroll of mage armor on ourselves. Because, again, we're wearing armor. So the rest of the stuff you saw as we picked it up. So now we can make our way back down here. And looking at the mini-map, you can see we've explored all this way around up here, and we explored up to here. So we're going to head out this way. Okay, now you have these restoration pods. Now, the restoration pods are interesting. So, for instance, I'm just going to cast... let's just cast a spell here. Let's just cast Thunderwave, and you can see the area of effect of Thunderwave. I'm not going to hit anything with it. I'm just casting it. Okay. Now you can see I've utilized one of my spell slots. If you click on the restoration pool, it restores not only your hit points, but also your spell slots. That's going to be very important because I'm going to do something at the very end of the prologue, which may be controversial, but I need to show it as we go through these. I'd be remiss if I didn't let people know it was available, because what I think of it, whether you should use it or not, is irrelevant. It's in the game and available to be used. So now you walk into this room, you can see we're in a much bigger room up here. Holding Alt, you can see we have some imp corpses. We also have another caustic bulb over here in the corner. But you can also see that there's an item here on some items here on the table, which I'm holding Alt, they don't show up. Again, if they're not consumables or bodies or something like that, then they're not going to show up. But that doesn't mean that items that have value that you can sell and things like that aren't around. You just have to go looking for them.
Images of goblins, their habits and histories flash into your mind.
Okay, and then a hollow shell there's no use for it in early access. Doesn't mean that there won't be in the full version, though. So now we're going to search these imps. And they asked, am I in the hells? Well, of course you are. So a potion of healing, always nice to have. And a scroll of firebolt. So a little bit of tiny offensive capability here. And then we do have a caustic bulb up here that we can pick up. We also have some mucoid shells here, which again you can sell. And a sodalite shell, which isn't worth very much. But the mucoid shells, again, you can pick them up. If you want to sell them, they do. You know, there's a lot of carry weight. There's 3 pounds of carry weight there. But you can pick them up and then prioritize later on. We also have a brain jar. This is just a regular brain jar up here. It's not named or anything like that. Okay, so now we're going to move farther around into the room and look over here. Holding Alt, nothing shows up. But here we have the Dark Mind. And again, it's a brain jar that is named. So it's something now that we have 2 of them. We have the Slave Mind and the Dark Mind using up a lot of carry weight, but in the full version of the game, there's probably going to be something that goes along with this, if I had to guess. Okay. So
Faint images appear in your mind. A brain, a Githyanki warrior, and centuries of darkness.
okay, you're learning more about the lore here.
Of humanoid history, elves, dwarves, humans, and more flash behind your eyes.
Okay, and then there's an aquarium over here.
Brains.
So yeah, inside, again, more brains in a jar. Holding Alt, you can see as we come around this way, nothing to see. And looking at our mini-map, this is the way out over here. So we're obviously not finished exploring yet. So we come to this area here. Okay, and also, moving your camera around, you can see we have a ramp to get up here. So we have neural apparatus, and we will actually deal with those here in a second. Okay, but you can walk up this ramp and get here up top, and you can see we have more brain jars, and we have another chest. So I'm going to move up close to it, and then search it. So some ring and some gold, or a ring and some gold. And then it doesn't matter which way you move around. To get through here, we have some more brain jars, but again, they're not named or anything like that. Just some very interesting stuff to look at. Okay, and again, holding Alt, we have another chest over here. Okay, a caustic bulb, spike bulb, and a void bulb. The caustic bulb basically is a 3-meter radius acid splash, is what it does. You can see we're getting talked to by something or somebody. We'll deal with that here in just a second. Okay, so another brain in a jar, and then again searching around this area, another brain jar. Nothing else to find up here. So now we're going to speak to Myrnath here.
Yes, you've come to save us from this place. From this place you'll free us.
The exposed brain quivers in expectation.
Please. Before they return. They return.
Okay, now you see that we did pass a perception check. And again, that's helped because that's a wisdom check and we have proficiency in it. So that's a big bonus that you get out of this character selections that we made during the character creation.
A newborn. Born new from this husk.
You realize you're talking to an intellect devourer, a minion of the mind flayers who abducted you.
Okay, so we passed an intelligence check, even though that's not one of our main stats, so we just rolled well there.
Remove us from this body, from this case. Free us, please.
Okay, so now we have some checks here that we can make. As you hover over them, you can see that we're going to get a +2 from the dexterity check. We're not going to have any bonuses to the investigation or strength check. So that's because this is intelligence-based and strength-based. So we're going to pick the dexterity option here. You can see we have a 10 DC. We're getting +2 from our dexterity. And we needed it.
The brain lifts from the skull, but you notice an opportunity. You could cripple the strange creature, making it more subservient, should it prove a threat.
Okay, so we have an opportunity here with another dexterity check. However, it's got a higher DC here. It's a DC of 15. We have a +2, so we need to roll a 13 or better to pass this check. So hopefully we got our bad roll out of the way previously, but we'll see what happens.
The creature seems unaware of your interference. It relaxes in your hands.
We are free. Our freedom is ours, friend.
The creature pauses, listening. Something behind your eyes seizes in recognition.
We must go to the Helm. At the Helm, we are needed.
The brain tenses, as though querying an unseen advisor.
Do you not hear it? We will not survive here. We are needed to navigate. We are needed to leave this realm. To the Helm we go. We are going to the Helm.
Okay, and we picked up 5 experience points there for doing that. Now, you can avoid that encounter entirely by simply just leaving it in the body. However, you have an opportunity to free it and then mutilate it to make it a friend able to join your party. And now you can control them independently of your other character. Okay, they're not even a follower at this point. They are an additional party member. And you can see that after the 4 turns of them being a new board ended, they went from 11 to 21 hit points. So they have by far the most hit points of anybody in our party that we have so far. And they also do 4 to 10 damage, 2d4 plus 2 with their claw attack. And they have a good amount of movement speed. So if you...
Still breathing, despite everything. Let's move.
You examine them, they have 9 meters of movement speed, so they're able to maneuver around the battlefield, really well. So if you take the chance and free it and you pass, then it'll join you. If you fail that mutilation check, the 15 DC mutilation check, then once it jumps out of your hand, it will attack you. Okay, so it's a win or lose type of choice there. You can either leave it in the body and not take the chance that it's going to attack you, or you can free it, and then you have a chance for it to either join you or to attack you. So kind of one of those things on how the game plays itself. It's going to give you a choice with a good or a bad outcome, or you can just avoid it entirely and not deal with it. So we're now going to click this neural apparatus. And you can see that it's basically just an elevator control pad. Okay, so now we can move ourselves onto here and click it again, and it's going to take us down. This one is an elevator call button for the lower floor. So that's basically what it is. Okay, so now we're going to move ourselves out the exit over here. And again, I'm using short movements. I don't have to. I've done enough playthroughs that I know what's going to happen. But again, just good form. So now you get to this point, and you can crawl down here, but now you're going to have to jump across. Okay. We can continue moving on down this way. Oh. Interesting. I'm looking at the things that have changed in patch 9. So this area of the map is now different than it used to be. Okay, so we get an autosave. Okay, so Lae'zel was much farther down toward the entrance.
Abomination. This is your end.
Your head throbs and your skin tingles. Visions rush past. A dragon swing, a silver sword, and a flash of your face seen through the strange woman's eyes.
Oh, my head. What is this? Skvar, you are no thrall. Vlaakith blesses me this day. Together, we might survive. Imps block the path forward. You will assist me in destroying them. We must reach the Helm before we transform. We carry mind flayer parasites. Unless we escape, unless we are cleansed, our bodies and minds will be tainted and twisted. Within days, we will be Geich, mind flayers. We can do nothing until we escape. That must be our priority. Who am I? Your only chance of survival. It is where we might gain control of the Ga'arth, the ship. Once in command, we will deal with our Geich captors. First, we exterminate the imps. Then we find the Helm and take control of the ship. As for that thing, it will remain tame as long as it believes we are thralls. It may be of use in the fight to come.
Okay, so Lae'zel has joined our group. I'm not calling it a party, because it's not a true party in the normal sense of the game. And what I mean by that is that if I hit tab, I don't have multiple inventories for the characters that are in my party. I can't have anybody else help me carry these items, and I can't transfer any of them to another member of our group. Okay, so you're kind of on your own. The party, this is just an introduction to the party mechanic, but it's not a full-fledged party like you would see in the game itself once you get out of the prologue. So what we are going to do here is we're going to split the group. Okay, and we're going to move Lae'zel up here, watching the detection cones. Okay. And now here, so you can see the spells that we have available to us here. Once we get in here, you'll see kind of that a better opportunities that we have available to us. So first we have an imp that's patrolling here. If you look at it, the Imp's carrying a hand axe, so it's melee based. We have two more back here. We have one up here on the high ground. This Imp is unarmed, so it's again melee based with its claws. Then we have a third one back here, and if you look at this, it's carrying a crossbow. So this one is ranged based. Okay. Now we're not going to be able to get us, if you watch these detection cones, you'll see that we can't reach any of them without triggering combat. Okay, this is about as good as you can get when the one up top is turned the opposite way. But you have to time that very, very well to get that to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to start this off with our Intellect Devourer. And we're going to kind of move it in here, but not all the way in. And then when they turn around again, we're going to move in and attack this Imp here. Okay, we critted it. So we killed it right off the bat. This one still has its back turned. This one has its back turned. So that was the best of all worlds. The enemy is surprised. Lae'zel and Jorvalin are still not in combat yet. And as we move them in, you'll see that the detection cones are facing away from us. So I've got a great opportunity to move in here while they are out of combat and get an attack on this Imp here. Okay, I'm going to have advantage because I'm hiding when I do it, and advantage is super important. Okay, that puts her in combat and kills that one. So now I've got one left. So, moving in here. Let's move in. Okay, I'm going to take the opportunity because I can to move up here onto the high ground right behind it. And now I'm going to cast Thunderwave. Okay, you can see it's going to knock it off here as it does. So let's, I think Imps, before we do that, let's examine the Imp first. Okay, so it doesn't have any resistances, so we might be able to maneuver ourselves into a spot here where Thunderwave will knock it into fire. Doesn't look like it. Looks like the fire's a little bit too far off. But we'll go ahead and cast Thunderwave on it. Okay, ended up killing it outright. Okay, and we don't need the tutorial here. So, for those of you who haven't watched a playthrough before, what you saw there was me splitting the party and entering combat at different times. In tabletop, that might not be allowed nearly as much. It really depends on your DM and how well they interpret, holding your turn and things like that in tabletop. But in Baldur's Gate 3, it's a very, very important mechanic to enter into combat with one or just a couple of your characters, and then having your other characters in reserve to see what they might need to do as the situation develops. So in that case, you saw that the Intellect Devourer moved in and killed this imp. Well, if it wouldn't have, it would have been the only one in combat, and now I have the opportunity to move in with another character and take it out, and then move past it to get up to the other areas. Where if the other characters were, you know, already up here or something like that and already into combat as a group, then I might not have that opportunity. So splitting your group, getting one or two characters maybe into combat, and then following that up with the other characters that are not in turn-based combat can be a very, very useful strategy. And you'll see me utilize it all the time throughout the playthrough. So here we have a hand axe, and we're just going to pick up everything for now. We'll have to start making some conscious decisions about what we want to do with the things that we loot, because I'm just not going to have the carrying capacity to deal with it. So we'll kind of make those choices as we get here. So now I'm going to split the group, and I'm going to hide and see where the limit of this fire surface is. The reason I'm splitting the group is because your characters try to stay in a diamond formation. One on either side of you and a little bit behind, and then one right behind you a bit farther behind. And they will try and get to that formation regardless of what surfaces are around them. So they can even move into a position where they take damage by intentionally walking into a fire surface just to try and stay in that formation around you. I don't know how many of you remember in Baldur's Gate 2, but you had formations that you were able to put your characters in. You were able to put them in a diamond formation, or in a line, or in a line abreast, or in an echelon, and other types of stuff like that. And I utilize the heck out of that. I don't really know why they don't have it here, especially with the detriment that it has to your movement. It's just, You're going to see me complain more about the movement and the pathing in this game than anything else. So just get ready for that, because you will definitely see it. And you see, they try and stay in that formation, one back and to the left, one back and to the right, and see how close she gets to the fire surface. It's just, it's so idiotic. It's so idiotic. Okay, so now looking up this way, holding Alt, we don't have anything out here. You can jump across this and get out to this area, but there's nothing out there. Just be aware that you can get out there, because maybe in the full version there will be. Okay. So moving around here, and again holding Alt as we move around. Nothing here. These Nodloid tanks, I don't know if it says anything here. It doesn't. These have a flammable fluid inside. So if you have a ranged attack and you attack this from afar, it will let its fluid out. The existing fires will catch it on fire and do a big explosion that happens out here. So be also careful of that when you're maneuvering around. So we did use Thunderwave during that time. So we're going to get our spell slot back.
Here we go.
Okay. Now you can see above us, we have some imps here. They're marked as red, so that means they are immediately hostile, and they have an arrow indicating that they are above us. So we're going to move up this side over here. And again, you can kind of see we're in an under map area here, so to speak. We're going to move out this way, and then we have the opportunity to move on either side here. And we do have some non-hostile cultists and a blast cannon and an intellect devourer up here.
Gods are watching me.
So we'll see what happens when we get up here to the top. Okay, so you did see the these tanks, these nautiloid tanks. That's what allowed the whole front end of this thing to get blown off up here. So that's kind of another hint that those are explosive. You can see that there's a mysterious liquid surface. It reacts to any heat that comes near it. So if you're standing near these things, just be careful if you're going to use a fire attack or something like that, that it can light all of this on fire and cause an explosion. So just something to be aware of. So you can see we have a dead thrall, an imp that's dead, and an enthralled cultist here.
Bull got me. Got me. Got me. Right in the gut. Tell the babes I'll be alright.
The Mind Flayers have already enthralled her. Leave her, or we will share her fate.
Okay, so you saw the necklace that the cultist was wearing. We're going to see more of that as we go through the playthrough.
What's the horns?
Okay, and we'll just do some searching here. Okay. And you can see that we have some stairs here, and some more stairs on this other side. So we're going to head back this way. Okay, holding Alt as we go. Okay, so we have some dead imps and thralls over here. Okay, now, not entirely sure I'm going to be able to with my strength score here, but we'll see. Okay, doing some searching of the bodies. We have a shield and a dagger here. So I'm going to go into hiding, and I'm going to move up as far as I can. Okay, and now I'm going to see if I can jump across the flames, and I can. Okay, so now I can search this thrall here, and it looks like I must have landed in the flames. So now you can see, here's our mind. This is the third of the brains in a jar that we have available to us. Okay, we also have some camp supplies and a poison resistance potion up here. So I'm going to take all of those. Going to hide again, and I'm going to cast Healing Word on myself, just in case I jump into this again. Okay. And I'm going to attempt to jump across over here and make sure I'm not moving when I jump. Okay. And now I don't have to hide anymore. So I can come back out here and rejoin the group. Okay. So we do have some more imps over here that we can search. We have a dead thrall here. It's got a short bow. And we have another cultist.
I'll lend a hand, won't you, love? There's a rat in the kitchen. 10 red rats. And they're flying and they're clawing.
Okay, so nothing useful to get out of him. Okay, so we're going to head back around this way. Because, again, up here at the top of this side, we want to stay away from the hostiles that are up there. So we're going to get up here and we're going to hide. The other thing that we're going to do is we have proficiency with short bows. So we're going to give ourselves the capability to have a ranged attack here as well. You can see that light crossbows, which are normally everyone is proficient in, a druid is not. Okay? That's what I was speaking about earlier, in that the only way you're going to get a ranged capability on them is if you choose a race that gives you that proficiency. Because light crossbows, which they are normally proficient in as a simple weapon, they are not for a druid. So it's one of those things to be careful for when you're looking out. So we're not going to be able to hide as we walk up this staircase. We're going to get seen here.
What's the
But we want to make our way over here. Hope everybody else was hiding, so... Boy, just messed that all up. We're gonna hide, and we're gonna make our way up here. Make our way up here. Once everybody's up here, then we will group everybody up, and we'll move up a little bit farther and group hide. Okay, so everybody's hidden up here now, and we don't have overlapping detection cones for what's happening down here. Okay, so now you can see that we have 2 hostiles that are on our map, and you can see where the detection cone ends when he's turned around facing us. Somewhere around in here. So I'm going to, again, split this group. I'm going to watch where that detection cone is when he comes back. And we'll see what happens here. Okay, so you can see when he turns around, his detection cone's almost right out to the very edge of us here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, while he's focused on that, I'm going to focus on the ranged imp. Okay. Okay. So that killed it. My stealth was actually successful. I'm going to hide again. And I can make another attack. So that worked out even better than I expected, because that one ranged attack killed him. So then you have to pass a stealth check, and I passed it. So I was able to move back, go back into stealth, and then when he came out, attack the other one. So that worked out very, very well for us. Okay, so some gold and a necklace.
What's inside?
Another hand axe. Okay, nothing on this imp. Some more gold here. We don't need the mug. We can pick up the battle axe.
I'm a bit peaked, Mum. I think I'll go to bed early.
Okay, so nothing there. Whoops. Don't need to click on him again. Now holding Alt, you can see there's nothing else going up this way, and our map doesn't extend up there. This is where we came originally in, down below. Okay, so the only other place that we can go looking is down here. Okay, and these characters...
You are needed
To survive.
Do not delay. Do not delay.
Okay. So down here we have some cultists, and we have an intellect devourer. Okay, so let's talk to one of the cultists.
See that? Gotta aim right between the horns. Good lad.
Okay. So,
We're the robbers, and they're the watch. Ready? Aim!
so yeah, some very interesting characters. Holding Alt, we have a lesser imp out here. And nothing to search for there. Okay. So we can just make our way back. We're going to group everybody up. Now we can make our way around here. And in this case, I'm going to take and just move us all the way through this so that the characters hopefully path around all the fire surfaces. If you stop in the middle, again, they're going to want to try and keep that formation. And they very, very well stand in the flame surfaces here. Okay. So now we can move in Gonna get an autosave, which is good. And you can step into this room. Now, you can immediately see that we have a couple of cultists that are what the condition is listed as sapped. If you examine them, you can see that they've been psionically drained. They are incapacitated and unconscious. But they are level 1, 8 hit points, give or take. Fairly standard across the board abilities and that sort of stuff for them. But they're currently incapacitated. So we can come up here.
Touch nothing without knowing its purpose.
It's always a good idea. Don't touch anything unless you know what it does. Okay, and we can look at, we have some buttons here that we can push, and we also have some sigils above them.
Another mystery.
Okay, so we failed that one.
Can't read the script.
Failed that one. And we failed that one. So now we'll let Lae'zel have a turn.
Another sigil. I
Failed.
cannot make sense of it. Aggression.
Okay.
Cannot make this out.
So we know that the one in the middle means aggression. So these 3 buttons are going to trigger a response. And that response, if we trigger the middle one, is going to be aggression. Okay, we don't know what the other 2 are doing yet. So for now, let's do as we've been told and not touch anything unless we know what to do with it. Okay, so another Mind Flayer pod here. Okay, and we can interact with this Mind Flayer pod here.
We have no time for stragglers.
The construction is too alien. Nothing looks familiar.
This ship is crashing. Do you intend to die for a stranger?
We must go. To the helm we must go.
Come on! There's got to be a way to open it! Try that contraption next to the pod. They did something to it when they sealed me in. Hurry! Please!
Okay, so this is going to bring us to something that differs in this playthrough from my previous 2 playthroughs. In my Ranger gameplay, I was kind of in the middle about whether or not to use my tadpole powers or not. During the Barbarian gameplay, I didn't use them at all. So I didn't gain a single tadpole power throughout that entire playthrough. This time, I'm going to use the tadpole as much as possible. Every opportunity that I get to use it, I'm going to use it. And I'm going to see what plays out differently with my character. So I'm going to approach this console here.
The console appears dormant. The mechanisms are completely unrecognizable at first, but then you spy an empty socket. Nothing. The console remains dormant.
Whatever
Okay.
fits in that socket must power this thing.
So now we need to find something that fits into that socket. If we continue exploring, we're going to hold Alt, and you can see we have a few other things here on the table. And this is why Alt is so important, because from this view, you can barely see anything. Even when you zoom in, seeing the necklace here is pretty hard. The scrolls over here. So the other thing that Alt does is if you hold it down, you don't have to click on the necklace. You can click on the name.
Wish I had a bag of holding.
And it will go and whatever your icon shows, in this case it's showing to pick it up, that's what it's going to do. Okay, so very useful to do that. The elaborate reliquary is locked and we can't pick it, so there's no point in even trying that. And then if we look around the remainder of the map here, you can see we do have a restoration pod. So we're going to use that to get our spell back. And again, you can use those as many times as you want. Okay, they're not limited on the number of charges. We have a door leading this way, and we have a door leading this way. We can see in this one that there's another room in here, and that's the way we're going to go. Okay, this intellect devour you can see on our map is not hostile.
How many hosts of these gay infected?
Okay, so you can look inside here.
A dazed woman is trapped inside the pod. She doesn't notice you.
Alright, we're going to move around to the backside, and you can see what looks like we have the same type of push interaction with another sigil.
Could mean anything.
Okay, so we'll try Lae'zel. Okay, so we don't know what it does, so we're going to hold off on it for now, and we'll go search the dead thrall up here. They have an elaborate key and a bottle. We'll take the elaborate key.
For what?
Or what? Well, we know that there's a chest that is locked back out there. So that's where we're going to go. And once you've explored an area or pathway the first time, and you know it's not trapped or it's not dangerous, then you can move in larger distances coming back out. So we clicked on it and we unlocked it. We got some gold, we got an onyx, and we got a rune here. Okay, you recognize it as a component of a bigger machine.
This might unlock those controls next to the pod.
Okay. So I do want to look at something else here real quick.
Get me out of this thing! Keep looking!
Okay. So I guess the dialogue box for trying to pry it open may have been a one-time thing.
The console appears dormant. The console hums to life.
Okay, so got an Arcana check here. We're not going to get any bonuses, but we might as well try it. 50-50 shot. Yes, Vital, it does. That's one of the great things. His question was, he likes the decision to play differently because the game has fantastic replayability. It really does. And that's, I think I've spent 250 hours so far in the early access playthroughs. And I will spend considerably more than that on the full game playthroughs. To just play things differently. The other thing that enhances that playability is that during my live streams, and I've said this before, I do not save and then reload if something goes badly. What you can do is before you click on something or before you go do something, you can save right before you do it. You can just quick save. And then if you click on something and you pick a certain set of dialogue options, you can then load that save again and do it again to get a more favorable result or to do things differently. I will do that extensively on my own playthroughs with the full version of the game. I let the dice roll where they, land where they roll on these playthroughs for you guys. So that's why you see me get frustrated, which I know some of you love seeing sometimes. Whereas otherwise I would just reload from a previous save and do it again.
Suddenly you feel a hideous squirming in your head. A parasite. Then discomfort fades and another sensation washes over you. Connection. Authority.
Okay, so here I'm going to use the Illithid Tadpole power here. Okay, when you use your Illithid Tadpole, your DC drops to 0. Which means even with a natural 1, which should be an automatic failure, you cannot fail this roll. Okay, it is impossible to fail it when you use your Illithid power. So you can avoid the sensation and open it using the rune, and you won't use your tadpole to
A
it.
shiver runs across your mind. You feel sated.
Okay, so we will talk to Shadowheart here.
I thought that damn thing was going to be my coffin. Thank you.
Your mind lurches into her thoughts. Her gratitude is mixed with wariness, because you have a Gith with you.
You keep dangerous company. Fair point. Looks like there's plenty of fighting ahead. Let me come with you. We can get off this ship and watch each other's backs along the way. I did. It must be because of those parasites they put in us. But that'll have to wait. Are we going to help each other or not? Shadowheart. One moment. It's nothing. Trust me.
Enough of this chatter. We need to get to the Helm. Now.
She's right. Lead on.
Okay, so before we head to the Helm,
I'm ready.
we now have a new party member that can attempt to look at these sigils. Now, these are Arcana based, which is intelligence, which she doesn't have, any more than any of us, but we'll see.
Well, this isn't enlightening. Means nothing to me.
Okay, so both of those failed. So we will head in here real quick and check this one. And again, you don't have to do these. This is just something interesting for you to look at and see during the playthrough.
Don't know what that
Okay,
says.
so we didn't pass any of the Arcana checks. And say this game sound is... Okay, well I can try and fix that. How about I lower my speech and raise the game up a little bit. So let me know if that seems any better. Okay, so nobody knows what this does. I can tell you what it does. It changes the woman inside of here into a mind flayer. And you get to see an interesting dialogue that goes along with it. But since I'm, again, not pressing anything, I don't know what it does. So now we can come out here to this spot. Okay, I bumped it up. Let's do this. Okay. That's about as high as I think I want to bump the game audio before it starts possibly distorting a little bit. So let me know if that works out, or if it's too high, then I'll adjust it again. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to toggle the group, and we're going to leave
Can't slow down.
our druid up here near the console. Going to move one. I'm going to move the intellect devourer down here, and I'm going to move Lae'zel right into here. And Shadowheart, I'm going to position
I'll go
right
this
here in
way.
the middle. Okay. Now we only know what one button
These
does,
things
and it
stayed
says
interesting.
aggression. So that's what we're going to hit.
She made them hostile.
Okay. So, goes into the tutorial again. We don't care. Okay, so you can see it rolled initiative, and we rolled somewhat decent on initiative in that both of our damage dealers that we pre-positioned rolled first. Okay, so we now have an opportunity here with an 80% chance to hit for a main hand attack, and oh, that's interesting. If you look down at the bottom, it puts a highlighted box around the action that you're going to take. So just another reminder that this is exactly what you're going to do if you go over there and do it. And then it says main hand attack on the screen as well. That's something new for patch 9. So we'll go ahead and try and make an attack here. Okay. So that went exactly how we wanted it to. So we will just move him, or move Lae'zel up here to kind of trap this cultist in place. And we could do a pommel strike here, I guess. No reason not to. Okay, and we will end her turn. Now the Intellect Devourer has a chance here. 75% chance to hit, and ended it. So worked out really well. So we can group everybody back up, and we can do some searching here. Okay, we don't need the quill. We'll take the gold. And then down here, you can see he fell out of the map, but we should be able to stay up top here and search him. And we can. Okay, for some gold and some camp supplies.
Need to find a way forward.
And now Lae'zel, her pommel strike, says it must take a short rest to get it back. We will go up here and click on the restoration pool. And now Lae'zel has her pommel strike back. Now, here's where I said I was going to do something that might be a little controversial. And what we're going to do, I guess, first off, is head through this area here first. Okay. And we're gonna...
nearing the Helm. Once inside, do as I say. Who put you in charge? I'll trust my own judgment. Cane yank.
No worries, Rymar here. I think I'll put the game audio down a little bit lower there. So it's always helpful though. Let me know what you think, and I'll just keep adjusting it, and we'll get to where we want to be. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to split the group. I'm going to move.
How much farther can I go?
My Druid into here until I get the autosave. And I'm going to move Lae'zel into here. And the Intellect Devourer into here. Okay. Now I'm going to take Shadowheart.
Let's get on with it.
And I'm going to bring Shadowheart back here. Then this group here,
as bad as it could have.
Going to toggle group mode so that they are in a party together and Shadowheart is by herself. And then I'm going to do a new save here. Again, this is how you would probably play the game on your own, but I think it's probably abusing a mechanic. But it is available to you. So, like I say, I'd be remiss if I didn't show it to you. Inside this room is a pretty serious combat, and that combat has the ability for you to be able to get the best weapon in early access. The best melee weapon in early access inside this room. This is a way to make that a lot easier. It doesn't guarantee it, but it makes it a lot easier to be able to do. So we're going to move into this room, but we're going to leave Shadowheart out here. And we're going to do that for a very specific reason. Okay? So let's go ahead and move into this room and see how we do.
Never wanted the easy path.
Connect the nerves of the transport. Now.
Do it. We will deal with the Geich after we escape.
Connect the nerves. Nerves! We will connect them.
Okay, so we got into combat here, and you can see that Shadowheart is not in combat. And we can change to Shadowheart and have her click the restoration pod anytime that we want. Okay? So, regardless of where we are in the turn-based encounter,
Another fight.
she can interact with that restoration pod at any time. Now, restoration pod brings all your health back, it brings all your spells back, and it brings back all of your actions that need a short rest to be able to redo. So I can stay in here, and no matter how much damage I take, I can keep healing it whenever I want using Shadowheart. Okay? Now, it doesn't make you invulnerable because we have a small amount of hit points, and we can get seriously hurt by the enemies in this room that we are not supposed to be dealing with. You are supposed to be taking on the imp and the imps and the Hellsboar here. You are not supposed to be taking on Commander Zhalk or the reinforcements that are going to show up later on in this encounter. Okay, you are not meant to be doing that. You are meant to have the Mind Flayer and Commander Zhalk fight it out. Okay? But here, we're going to kind of abuse this mechanic a little bit and see what we can do here. So, this imp is going to be the next one to go. So, we need to kind of focus on that imp to make sure that it do everything we can so that it does not get an attack. And to do that, if I look at this, because of my base movement speed being so high, I can move all the way up here. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to get them both in this.
One day, I'll catch a break.
But now that I'm here, I can get them both. I'm going to cast Thunder Wave on both of them. Okay? So, caused a good amount of damage to the Hellsboar, but I didn't kill the imp. I left it with 1 hit point. So, unfortunately, it is going to get an attack on me here. But I do have a bonus action. So, I'm going to cast Shillelagh on myself. Okay, so now my staff is imbued, and it's doing 1d8 plus 3 bludgeoning damage for the next 10 turns. Okay, so that gives me a melee option as well. But for now, there's nothing else that I can do, so I'm just going to end my turn here. Okay, so I took 3 points of damage. But, and I'm just going to illustrate it. If I go to Shadowheart, she can click on the restoration pod.
Swift and lethal.
And now you can see that my Druid
Still on my
is
feet.
back to full hit points and got her spell slot back. Okay. So again, I think this is probably abusing a mechanic in the game. But honestly, if you're not live streaming, you're just playing it yourself, you're going to take every advantage you can to get the best stuff in the game, right? So again, I don't want to, make too much out of this. But I need to illustrate it for you guys. So here, I'm going to Just taking stock of Lae'zel here. I'm just going to move up.
My path be true.
And I'm just going to pommel strike. I know that's going to kill it. Okay, now I can do a ranged attack against the Hellsboar. And this is about looking at the numbers, about a 75% chance to kill it if I hit. Okay, so took out both of them in that single turn. So now I can end my turn. Okay, so Lae'zel took a hit there.
What's next?
Not anymore. Okay, so now here, I just need to dash to get up there as fast as I can. Okay, and you see I can't get all the way up there, but I can get farther into this room here with him. And then I will end his turn.
We need to get out of here, now.
And now here, it's 6. I'm just going to move up
Best be on my way.
here. Who are the demon guys? It's a good question. The demon guys here, Commander Zhalk is a race called the Cambion. The Cambion are natives of the plane of Avernus. They are your prototypical devils in the games. Some of them, there are leaders of the plane of Avernus, so to speak, and you're actually going to meet one of them during the playthrough later on. But Cambions are your prototypical devil race, so to speak. They are fiends, which means if you have things that do bonus damage against fiends and that sort of stuff, they will take extra damage from them. But they also have some pretty decent stats here, because you can see Commander Zhalk is level 8. We're level 1. Okay? You are not meant to be taking on Commander Zhalk on your own. He's also resistant to most types of damage, and he's resistant to all forms of physical damage. Okay? So he's yes, Rymar, just as evil as the Mind Flayers. But you're not meant to be dealing with him. These two are meant to fight it out, and because of the difference in the health pool, 91 to 135, Zhalk is really meant to win this fight. The Mind Flayer, however, has a special attack that's random whether or not they use it, but if they do use it and it hits, it can seriously turn the tide of this fight. But for now, I'm going to do just a standard... let me think about that before I say it. No, I've got unlimited spells. Okay. So that one didn't land. Or it landed, but it didn't kill him. So we are going to, and you see, there's now a caustic brine on the surface here. Does 1d4 acid damage to anything in here, and that includes the lesser imp. So I've already taken damage from it, but it's not going to matter. So now I can avoid the imp, because I know the imp is going to die due to the caustic brine here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dash. And I'm going to get up here kind of in line. Okay, and a main hand attack here. I dashed. I don't have the actions for it, but I do have a pommel strike, and it's only a 40% chance to hit. And It's not going to hit from there. I don't think. It's showing me that my character wants to move around to the other side. Which is... I'm trying to position myself very carefully here. Okay. Okay. So it did daze him. Examine the daze condition. He has disadvantage on wisdom saving throws. He can't take reactions, meaning if I wanted to move back away, there would be no attack of opportunity. And he loses the dexterity bonus to his armor class. His armor class, he had a +2 bonus to his armor class. Well, now it's reduced to 0. So his armor class is now only 16 as opposed to 18. That makes him substantially easier to hit for everybody doing melee attacks and that sort of stuff. So since he can't take any reactions, I'm going to move back just a little bit. And I'm going to end turn, and the imp is now going... Oh! That was very interesting. Oh, wow. What a set of turns. Okay, a lot happened there. Oh. And it all worked out amazingly well. Commander Zhalk has one of the best weapons in the game, and I don't think you can see it. No, you can't. He has a weapon. Well, you can actually see it there in his picture. You can see that the weapon he has is a flaming weapon. It's called the Everburn Blade. Now, whenever you strike something with the Everburn Blade, you're going to get a little bit of fire exposure, meaning that I was standing on a flammable surface. So as soon as he took a hit at the Mind Flayer, that flaming sword, it ignited all of the surface that everybody was standing on. And he took a huge amount of damage because of it. He tried to fly out of the way. In flying out of the way, he flew right next to the Mind Flayer. So the Mind Flayer got an attack of opportunity when he tried to fly back over here and hit. Then the Mind Flayer jumped over to here and did a stunning attack all the way across the map, basically, and stunned him. So now this is his special attack, and you can see he can't move or take any actions, bonus actions, or reactions for a full turn. So his next turn, he's not going to be able to do anything. And I can go back to Shadowheart, and I can heal everybody that took damage from that fire surface. Okay. The one downside is that I now have to deal with the lesser imp here, but I'm not too worried about that. Okay. So now I'm going to move him around and end the turn. Okay, now it's Dravelin's turn, and what I'm going to do is try and position myself fairly carefully here.
These boots have seen everything.
Okay. Thunderwave. If you look at the spell itself, it's a Constitution save for it, and it does thunder damage. Thunder damage is something that is not on his resistances list. So it's a Constitution save for only half damage, but if I can position my character right, then maybe I can cast Thunderwave. See? Right there. Maybe I can cast Thunderwave, and even if he fails, he's still going to take regular damage from this. Okay? So he made his saving throw, but he took 5 points of damage out of it. And Shillelagh is still going, but I've got a bonus action, so might as well refresh that. Okay, and now we'll end that turn. Now, here, I've got a 75% chance for a main hand attack, and that's because he's stunned, because you can now see at the top I have advantage on this attack. Okay, so I also have Lacerate, which inflicts bleeding damage for 2 turns, and since I've got a 75% chance to hit, I might as well try that first here. Okay, so now he's bleeding. So he's burning, he's dazed, he's burning, he's stunned, and he's bleeding. Okay. So now I can also attempt a pommel strike. Okay, and he's dazed again. So that renewed the dazed for another 2 turns. And now go back to Shadowheart. And you can see now all of her spells are back. And she got her action, her pommel strike back as well. So now we can end the turn. He won't be able to do anything.
Connect the transponder.
Okay. So now here, what I'm going to do, I think, is move up here and trigger the next bit of this. I can. Okay, I can't move up. I should have dashed. There. Okay, so now on this turn, the Mind Flayer moved to the exact opposite side. I was hoping he was going to move somewhere in here, but he moved to the opposite side. So if I cast Thunder Wave, it's going to hit the Mind Flayer as well. See? And there's nowhere that I can turn this that isn't going to hit the Mind Flayer. Okay. The Mind Flayer does have some hit points to give, though. He's on 71 compared to 47. So the other thing that I can do is cast Fairy Fire. Now, it is a Dex save. But this would give me advantage on all attack rolls, because now it's a 50-50 shot. So it's a 40% chance for Fairy Fire to hit. You know, I might as well try it. Okay, so everybody failed their save. So there's advantage now. So Lae'zel now has advantage on this hit, so now she's back to 75% chance to hit. Okay. I'm going to try Lacerate again to restore the bleeding attack. And I'm going to do another Pommel Strike. Okay. Dazed again. Failed his save. So now we'll let him get an attack. He's always going to go after the Mind Flayer. He's not going to go after you. Okay? Which is great. Okay, I'm just going to move up a little bit at a time here. Okay, so he's not going to trigger the next. That's good. That's perfectly fine. Okay. So now, I'm going to end his turn. And now here, I think we just need to go after with Thunder Wave here. Okay, so that caused 10 points of damage. Okay, and that's it there. And then Lae'zel should have a 75% chance to hit again. She needs to get Lacerate back. So I will do that with Shadowheart. And now Lacerate's available. Oh, Fairy Fire disappeared because the concentration resets. That's what it was. Okay, so we're going to make sure we
Nothing will stand
get
in
rid
my
of
way.
that. Okay, she doesn't have any bonus actions that she can use at this time. So,
I will ascend.
okay, so yeah, that needed to be careful about my timing on that. Should have gotten my before I cast Fairy Fire. So now it's only a 50% chance to hit. That's why there's a miss there. Okay, but I did hit and get dazed back on. Okay. So now you can see that we have reinforcements that have shown up. You briefly saw their icons pop up on the map. Okay. So since I know that he's not going to trigger the second part of this, okay, I'm going to move all the way down here. Okay, and now you can see the icon on the map. Oh, that's weird. There's still a knocked out lesser imp down here. That's very weird. I don't know where that came from. Okay, so here he's got 12 hit points left. So I think we're again at Thunderwave here. Okay, and that killed Commander Zhalk. Alright. The Mind Flayer went hostile because of that. Okay, so that's bad. And there are the reinforcements. Because I guess that was the downside of Thunderwave in that particular instance, because now the Mind Flayer is hostile toward us, whereas otherwise the Mind Flayer, I could heal the Mind Flayer now, and the Mind Flayer would be going after and helping us in the fight with the two Cambions. But with the Mind Flayer being hostile, I am not going to be able to stick around here. This is not going to work. If the Mind Flayer was not hostile, then there's a good chance that I could go take out these two Cambions as well. But they're 82 hit points apiece, and I don't have the capability to fight them both, I don't think. They're carrying tridents, and with their strength scores, they can probably one-hit me. Their strengths are 18, so they're getting +4 on their bonuses to attack with the trident, which is a 1d6 weapon. So yes, they could one-shot me in doing it. So probably not a good idea for me to stick around. What I need to do here is now take out the Mind Flayer as fast as I possibly can. So we're going to get my Pommel Strike back. We're going to move in with a main hand attack here. We can actually... yeah, we're going to lacerate.
You bow.
Okay, that missed. So now a Pommel Strike. Okay, got a critical hit with that. But now the Mind Flayer is going to get a chance to attack. Okay, and he stunned all of us. Okay, this might actually be a party wipe. So let's go to Shadowheart and do that and come back in. So that now I at least get an opportunity to move. Okay. And I think our goal here is just to dash out of here as fast as we can. I can't do that with Lae'zel, though. So I'm going to move Lae'zel here. And maybe the Mind Flayer will go after Lae'zel instead of me, because I got a lot of people to get through here turn-wise before I can go. Okay. Oh, and critted me. Okay. So, now I've got a huge problem on my hands. Because if I move here, I'm going to trigger attacks of opportunity from this Cambion here. Okay, so I can disengage from this, but I would only have 10 meters of movement because I can't dash as my action. So I think I have to try and get out. I think I have to try and disengage and then move all the way down here. And this is going to trigger the next group of enemies. This turned very interesting, all because the Mind Flayer went hostile. I didn't think that through well enough with that Thunder Wave. So I'm going to keep moving up as much as I can here. To try and get away from them, and I'm not going to fight any of them. I'm just going to try and make a beeline for that. And nope, I can't. That was a mistake. Oh wow, that was a huge mistake. That was a huge mistake. And I'll explain why here in a second. That was a huge mistake. Boy. With me not reloading like I normally would and redoing this fight, this is going to be really hard. Okay, I think this is going to be a party wipe, which is probably the best of all outcomes here, because then I would get to play it again. Okay, so that gets Lae'zel back up. But now if I move, I'm going to take attacks of opportunity from everybody. And the unfortunate thing about it is when I disengage, I need to run back here.
Open up.
Because I need to pick up the Everburn Blade. Okay. We'll end turn, and now Lae'zel's going to get a chance. And it doesn't really matter what Lae'zel does. Actually, it kind of does. I'm going to disengage. And I'm going to move Lae'zel right up here into the middle of this. So hopefully she takes some of the attacks. The next turn I can dash and move my way up here. But we'll see what happens. Okay. So now I have an opportunity here. The Hellsboar moved toward me.
Can't stay idle.
Okay. I will provoke an attack of opportunity from the Hellsboar, but honestly, I do not care. I'm going to dash. Okay. And I'm going to go as far as I can down this way and just take the attack of opportunity.
On my way.
Okay, hit me for 3. But I do not care. Alright, so in their turn, it's Lae'zel's turn. And again, it doesn't really matter what I do here. Lae'zel is just a distraction. Okay, so now I'm going to switch back to Shadowheart. Get everybody's hit points back. And Lae'zel's turn will end. Lae'zel will probably go down. Miss, miss, miss. 9 points and 5 points. But again, it doesn't matter. I can get her back up. But it doesn't matter. Because I can now reach the transponder. Okay? So that was extremely messy. If you were replaying that, that's exactly what you would want to do. But you wouldn't want, and I'm going to move all the way around behind the transponder here.
Light on my feet.
Because, yeah, there's no way Lae'zel can take all of these people by herself. But I can end her turn, or end the turn and get out next time. I'm interested to see. So it's a 40% chance to hit. Yeah. So she would have to take out a lot of people here. A lot of hit points. To be able to survive this. And I just don't think it's possible. Yeah, so critted, she goes down. Okay, everybody went after her, which is interesting. Okay, so this is kind of sadistic. But I wonder if everyone will keep going after her the entire time. Well, let's end Jorvalin's turn. She can't attack anything from down here. Everything is outside of range. So I can actually move to here.
Another day, another fight.
And attack that one. Might as well. What the heck? And then I'll go to Lae'zel and again try the same thing here. Okay. Okay, now he's coming, the Hellsboar's coming up after me, but I'm not too worried about the Hellsboar. Okay. I'm not too worried about that because I can Thunder Wave the Hellsboar. And the Hellsboar is going to have problems. Okay. So I'd have to move up a little even farther to get a range. I don't have an action, but I'm just testing to see where it's at. So get a ranged attack, I'd have to move up to about there. Tiny bit more. Okay, so maybe next turn I can get off a ranged attack. Now let's see if Lae'zel can just keep being the hero here. Okay, so that missed. As soon as the Cambions move off of Lae'zel, this is over. Okay. Alright, so that one's done. So now move a little bit. Yeah, move up just a little bit farther here. And next turn I can make a ranged attack on this imp. So I can end my turn. If this actually works, this will further illustrate how much of a super cheese this is. I mean, honestly. I live in Central Standard Time in the United States, so it is 4:30 here. We've got about 30 minutes left in the stream, and then we'll be finished up. Okay. So he's dazed, so we'll try a lacerate again. That missed. And renewed the dazed, which is going to be helpful. And critted. Okay. So let's get Lae'zel back up. And let's see if maybe I can move back into this fight here. Being able to cast Thunder Wave here would be very nice. As long as they are both focused on her. If I do this, it's going to be a problem, though, if I try and get out. I would be fully committing to this. If I do it. Ah, what the heck.
At the ready.
If I party wipe, then it would just be the end, and we'll end the live stream that way, and we'll start up with the fight again next stream. So, let's go all in here, I guess. Okay, missed again. And the pommel strike. Okay, so went down again. Again, doesn't matter though. I think the only problem is if they crit her and she goes down on the very first attack, then that's going to be a problem. So, by Thunder Wave, that one right there, I can do it from here and it's only going to hit him. Okay, so we took 9 points of damage. Now Lae'zel can work on this one. Okay, critted him. Pommel strike. Alright. Missed. Alright, so let's move up here. To say... Let's just say here. Okay, that will hit him, but not Lae'zel. Okay, so 6 points of damage. And I can kind of move back a little bit. And now... Get her back. Okay, so we're going to focus on this one here. Alright, guy was good, bleeding again. Alright. This. And 6. Can again move myself up here a little bit. Okay, 9 points of damage there. Very good. Now I can move back. I'm gonna move back this way behind Lae'zel.
Need to find a way forward.
Okay, and now Lae'zel needs to get her stuff back. Yeah, you can see now that this is super cheese. Okay, now let's see what the other Cambion does. Okay, still going after Lae'zel. So I'm going to move kind of to here. Okay, and I want to move this one way back. Okay. So Thunderwave is going to be doing the vast majority of the damage here. It appears. Okay, but Lae'zel is putting in some good work here. Okay, so the Cambion went after me. And now you can see if I move, I'm going to get an attack of opportunity against me. Okay. So the question is, can I get a Thunder Wave that won't hit Lae'zel? I can. So I'm going to move him all the way back again. Okay. Then I'm going to move back kind of over here. Okay, one Cambion's almost down here. If we can just keep up the pressure. Okay, went after Lae'zel. Okay. Lae'zel's down. But again, that doesn't matter. Yeah, you're right, Rymar, it is, but I understand that some of my live streams for my European viewers are a little hard, so I appreciate everybody, that tunes in for them. Okay. And this is also where her movement ability is able to shine here, because she's able to move in and then move back out and force them to concentrate on Lae'zel. So, something else to consider with that Wood Elf selection that we made compared to the Dwarf. Yeah, you saved against the days. Oh, critted. Okay, that's going to be the problem. Okay. And Lae'zel is dead. He is dead. Okay. So I don't have a choice here but to get out. And I'm not going to be able to make it all the way because I have to disengage. Otherwise, I'm going to get an attack of opportunity from this Cambion here. Okay. I could... Actually, it is probably a great idea. Just Thunder Wave them both. That kills one. I can move back a little bit out of his range. So what's his movement speed? 9? So as long as I'm more than 9 meters away, he's not going to be able to reach me except by dashing. And that's perfectly fine. So he's about 11 meters away. So just back up just a little bit. He has to dash to get to me, which means he can't attack when he gets here. And I can Thunder Wave again. Okay, and now he's, again, 11 meters away, so I can back up just a little bit more. And end my turn. So just execute little tactical retreats, and Thunder Wave is the saving day, is saving the day here. Just period, end of story. Okay, without Thunder Wave, this would be over because there'd be no opportunity to knock him back. Couldn't do it. Okay, so he's only got 12 hit points left. So this is doing good. Just a couple more Thunder Waves, and oh, this is going to be a problem. No, it won't. I can knock him back this way instead. Oh, we saved. Okay, well, we still might see this end. Because there's nothing I can do here. Okay, got 7. Only 7 points of damage. If he would have hit me and killed me there, then that would have been it. Only 3. He's got another chance to do it. This is so horrible. You know, I do have... I got a potion of speed. Okay. Oh boy. Wow. Okay. Well, that is not how that fight is supposed to go, by the way, just in case you were wondering. Okay, and now we can move Shadowheart in to the room here.
This way.
And we might as well kill this imp here. That's an interesting sound effect when she gets a crit. Okay.
Alright. What now?
So now we can search the other cambions. You do get some interesting stuff. And this is going to be severely encumbered. Okay, but we will sort out our encumbrance on the ground. And this is going to be very interesting what happens with this now that Lae'zel is dead. So, yeah, I know, Ramar. That was a very interesting sound effect when she went down. Or when she got that crit. So...
No traps, please.
So we're heavily encumbered here, but... I want to see what happens here with Lae'zel's equipment. Lae'zel is dead, but we took all of her stuff. I'm really anxious to know if Lae'zel is dead in the game or not, or if she's that was just in the prologue. Okay, so we're gonna go up here, click the transponder, and we're gonna end the prologue. Actually, we're not. We're going to save first, because I may have to replay this all off stream if she's permanently dead.
The Helm's alien transponder. You made it in time.
Okay, again, I do love their cinematics. Larian Studios has done some good work there. Well, they slightly changed that cinematic between patch 8 and patch 9. I like it. Do I live stream all of my videos? Good question. While we end up the stream here, I'll answer that actually here in just a second. So, that finishes the prologue. For those of you who haven't watched a playthrough before, we are now in Chapter 1 of the game. In early access, that's all you're able to play is Chapter 1, even in patch 9. But this is the game itself. That the part on the Nautiloid is to familiarize yourself with the game, while at the same time giving you some adventure and some combat and the ability to pick up different items. You can see that our inventory is chock full, we are heavily encumbered, but we did manage to pick up the Everburn Blade while we're in there. We managed to pick up the best medium armor in the, well, tied for the best medium armor in the game. The Githyanki Halfplate, which belongs to Lae'zel. We may or may not end up keeping that, though, if Lae'zel shows up, and she doesn't, she's just completely naked, because of it. But we will see what happens. That's an interesting question later on. We also picked up some scale mail and some other items that we can now trade with our other party members as well and help even out some of this encumbrance. And we have another party member, the eagle-eyed among you saw our first one right up here. Now, going back to one of the earlier questions that we had during the live stream from Assassin, asking what companions am I going to take on this campaign? I am not going to be keeping Shadowheart. Shadowheart is a dedicated cleric. I've had Shadowheart in both of the parties on the playthrough live streams that I've done. I'm going to take a little hit in healing capacity and in buffing capacity to use the Druid in that capacity. So Dravalin is going to be acting as the cleric in this playthrough. So Shadowheart's not going to be a part of it. I am going to use Shadowheart to carry some of these items, though, at the start of next live stream. But for now, the intent is to keep her around until I fill out the party, and then when I get the party members that I want, she will then stay in camp, and I won't be utilizing her. But for the question, do I live stream all of my videos? And I'm going to save right here. The answer right now is yes. The plan is that I'm doing these live streams to give everybody kind of an experience of different playthroughs through the early access, as well as the different character types. There are a lot of very talented content creators out there right now who are doing Baldur's Gate 3 guides and that sort of stuff in the form of 15 to 30-minute videos explaining the different characters, the different races, classes, feats, attributes, all of that sort of stuff. There's no point in me trying to reinvent that wheel because they've already done it so well. If somebody wants to see, a more in-depth, Druid build guide than what I've shown, there are a bunch of guides to go do that. So right now I'm just live streaming. However, during the full playthrough of the game, I will probably be recording that off stream and have a playthrough that I'm doing, but also recording a different playthrough off stream that I can create guides for completion of quests, for getting certain items, that sort of stuff that will probably come into play. Am I going to play anything else? That's a very, very good question. The intention was actually not to do Baldur's Gate. I play 2 other games fairly religiously, and that was going to be the intent behind the channel. This came out when it did in early access, and I had access to the game through early access, and I really wanted to play it. So I started off the live streams doing this. I am going to be playing other games. Currently, I play 2 other space flight sims. I can't really call them just flight sims because there's also ground and vehicle aspects to them. But I play Elite Dangerous and have for quite a few years. But I play that, and that is an intent that there will be videos and live streams about that. I also play Star Citizen. I just don't play it nearly as much. The game is wide in its dreams, but fairly narrow in its approach right now because it's been in alpha for a decade. So, but those 2 games I do play, and you will probably see videos about them. There is a chance also that I will be starting up a second live stream throughout the week. But here in America, I have a full-time job. I work until 5. I don't get home until 6 every day. So if I start up a second live stream during the week, that will be something that most of you in the European time zones will probably have to end up watching as a VOD after it goes live, because I will not be able to start that until 6 p.m. my time, which is midnight in Greenwich Mean Time. So that would be very, very late for some of you to be staying up just to watch me play a second stream. But that possibility is also there as well. It just kind of depends on how much I want to share with everybody here. I don't have, like I've said before, I never ask anybody to subscribe to the channel. I never ask for likes or anything like that. Because I'm not doing this to, you know, become famous and make a lot of money. That's not what I do it. I do it because I enjoy playing games, and if I'm going to be playing it anyway, then maybe some people would like to see how I play and what I do, because they might be able to learn something new or see something in a different way while I'm doing it. So if I just have, you know, 3 or 4 concurrent viewers like you guys here, and just a handful of subscribers to my channel, that's perfectly fine, because I would do it anyway. As long as people are interested in it, I'm still going to be playing games. I've been playing games for 40 years on video games, and I will continue playing them. So I'm going to be here for a long time regardless of what happens. So games are going to come in, games are going to go throughout the live streams, but the intent is to keep doing it. And as long as people like you get a value from it, then I'm happy to keep doing it. But even if there's nobody watching, I would still play the games, and might as well just click a button that says stream, and that's all it really takes. So I think with that, we are going to end the live stream for today. We now have a title for this. This is now going to be our Baldur's Gate 3 Druid character gameplay series. So I will have this uploaded into a separate playlist for Druid, and you'll be able to find the new videos there. And as we go, if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to ask. With the size of where I am, like I say, it's really easy for me to respond to your comments and your questions, and I'm slowly getting much better at watching the chat and making sure that I stick with your comments here as we go. During combat and things like that, I will become pretty focused on that, so your comments I might not catch. But I've made some adjustments to my setup here, and hopefully my chat is now front and center in my field of view, and I can keep up on that. I apologize if I missed some of your comments during the playthrough today. But again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me today. Without your support, none of this would be possible. This is Commander Jorval saying, until next time, fare thee well.